Hey guys, Mr. Echo here. Now look at that. Today I'm going to make a tutorial about Shotcut. This is a free video editor that has tons of features, and it's also free for advertisement, so when you export a video there will be no watermark or something of that sort. It's open source. It's being developed by, I think, 2 people right now, but it's really actively updated, and each month there's a new update coming out. Now, if you look at this program, it doesn't really look like a video editor. That's how it's going to look like when you first start it up. So, what this first tutorial video is going to be about today is the pre-editing phase. So we're going to set up our interface today. The second video then is going to go into detail of video editing. Now, how do we set up the interface? First of all, we have something up here which is called timeline. If we click on this, it's going to open up a timeline down here in this program. Now we got that already. Let's go on. If we go here with export, right, it's going to open up a new window or space for some settings in this program as well, which are going to be the settings you use for exporting your videos, your edited videos then. You have tons of presets here, also including one that is called YouTube, especially for YouTube, I suppose. I've also made some custom ones here already. You won't have them at the first use of this program. But so far to this, we're going to cover this later when we're actually going to go to the exporting part of the tutorial line. But let's go on here. We have filters. If we click on this here, as you can see, it's overlaid. The export part is overlaid by filters, but we can easily change between those two down here. There's no problem. Now the filters, this is going to be the main part of your editing in this program, because if you, for instance, want to fade in or fade out audio or video, or you want to have some effects to your add some effects to your video, then you're going to use filters. Then we have history. This is opening up another part of this program here on the side, where it's going to show you all the steps that you made while you edited, and you can easily select which step you want to go back to if you forgot to edit something or made a mistake. You can also do that via these buttons here, undo and redo, right? But this might even be faster if you really want to go a lot of steps back. Then further, we have recent. If you click on this, it will open up a list of files that you have previously imported, so you can easily double click them and they will be imported into the program again, so you don't need to search for them again complicatedly in your folders. If we go on here, we have playlist as well. Here you will be able to drag and drop your files that you want to import. Then we have properties. Here it will show you the properties of the files that you originally imported. So not of the edited files, but your original files, what resolution they had and stuff like that. And then finally we have peak meter here. This is going to show you the audio level of the video you play back. And for a regular guideline here, we could say that we want to have it around here later in editing, because if it goes up too far, like above or past -5, it will be distorted audio, and if we go below it, it will be, of course, quiet, and we don't want that. So now I've already prepared some files. I'm going to show you how to import files now. Now we're going to the select playlist here, right? Then we open up the folder that we have the file in, and we're going to drag and drop the file in here, copy it in, and now we have the video and it's automatically starting the playback. Sometimes this doesn't update, so we have to just click here and then we can see the list. I can also import a picture, for instance, when it actually lets me. Now we go. Here we go. Perfect. Oh, that was just a delay. Okay, now we have imported the pictures as well. But let us see how we can actually drag this in here, right? Now we are dragging this into the timeline, because when it's here in the playlist still, we don't actually use it in the timeline yet, we don't edit it yet. It's just a list of files that you imported. And when we drag it in here, we have it now all set up to edit the footage. But this is it for the first part of this video now. As you can see, now it really already looks like a video editor. Before, of course, it didn't at all because we had to set up the interface. But this looks really good, really professional. So that is it for today. Next video, we're actually going to cover some editing. See you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here. This is part 2 of my Shotcut video tutorials. Now, today we are going to cover some editing. First down, we have here our timeline. Now what we can do with this timeline is we can mute the audio of it. So if I play this back, you won't hear any audio, but you still can see the video. We can also hide the video but still hear the audio. What's going on? All right. we can also do that. And this will not just be now temporary for us to see how it would look like without it, but this is actually affecting the exported file then. Also here we have composite, which would mean that if you have like several videos overlaying each other and you activate this like that, then you would see all of those videos in one video. Of course, if the size is the same, then they would just overlay it, but you know, you can resize your videos as well with this program, but we're going to cover this in another video. And here you can also lock it, lock the track. Now I can't move anything anymore about this track. Can't do anything, I can't edit it anymore, it will stay there, I can still play it back, but I can't edit it anymore. So if it's finished and you lock it, you can take care about all the other stuff you have to do, all the other audio lines and whatever, without having to care about this line, or maybe editing it on a, or without wanting to. Now what we have here is we have our video. But of course, if we look at this beginning here and we play this back, this is not very beautiful. You don't see anything on this beginning of the video. It's only about here where you can actually see something. You start to see the chicken running around on this lawn. So what we want to do is we want to cut off this first part that isn't really important. Actually, what I'm going to do about this, if you didn't notice yet, I want to reproduce my outro of my videos. And this is the footage that I used for this. Now in order to cut this here, we can click on this to split at playhead. And now we have two separate parts here. We can delete this one if you like. Now there's a blank space here. It doesn't directly go back to the start, which is good if we have an audio here and we want to sync it, for instance. But you can also remove this with right click and then click on remove. Now when we start at the beginning and play it back, it already starts with the chicken in the video. Now going on from here, we can see that a bit later on, we scroll through this real quick and we actually just clicked here and just dragged around the playhead. We can see this part here, for instance. It's not very stabilized. The quality of the chicken is not very good. It's moving, the camera is moving around a lot. And here we can actually go on again with the video. So we don't want this part where this chicken is up close but in very bad quality. So what we do, we also want to cut out this part here. Now in order to do that, we cut it here again. Check further when we come to the free chicken. Look at this point maybe, and we cut it here again. We can delete this out. Move it together. By the way, if we have the magnet here activated, as it is now, it's now deactivated, now it's activated. This will actually, can you see this? It will clip in like a magnet to the next track so that we don't have anything, any free space, small free space that we don't see maybe between the videos, and then there's just a black screen and nothing going on. We don't want that, and this is actually helping very much. Now if you look at this, there's a very bad transition. It's a very bad transition between those two videos. So what we want to do is we want to fade out and fade in the video. There are several ways we can do this. The audio, by the way, I don't want to use this audio. The audio is terrible on this video. I want to overlay this beautiful chicken grassing here with some audio, with some music. Now, we can simply take this part of the video and drag it over like this. Now what that will do is it will overlap the audio and the video footage. So if we go for this, the audio will now sound terrible on this, but you can see the video part on it. You've seen? It's fading in now and overlapping each other, but that looks much nicer. There's no abrupt cut in it and a scene transition, but it's more smoothly done. Now, one drawback of this video editor here is when I now take this away, this will be a sequence here, but I cannot actually make it two different parts of the video again. I can undo it again, right? But this will be a separate part. How can I say this? This will be a separate instance. So what we want to do now is we have this, it's much more beautiful already. Much better to watch. And what we want to do now is we want to add some music to this. So first we want to mute the audio on this video. So now it's a mute video. And we can import Morning Stroll. This is a free MP3 file that you can download on YouTube. If I drag this down in here like that, it doesn't work fine because it will maybe put it up here or like overwrite this. So instead, first we should add an audio track here. This is safer. So now we can drag this in here. We'll automatically go to the end to the last position of the video. We can drag this easily down in front here. Now we can clip this to the beginning, and we have a music overlay. Let's hear what it sounds like. Perfect. So at this end of the video, I also want to cut the end out here, because as you can see, I'm going down with the camera here, and that doesn't look good either. So you can, by the way, you can move frame by frame by simply hitting the arrow keys to the right and to the left to see where I start to move. You see now here's the movement, here it starts, and now we can simply cut this off and delete it with hitting the delete key, and now this part of the video is gone. And now, as we don't have a video up here anymore on this line, but just the audio down here, we have just a black screen. But this is going to be it for today. So to make a short recap, we have cut our video sequences. We have moved two sequences together, overlapped them, merged them with each other, so that there's a cool fade in, fade out at the same time going on. We have muted our video. We have imported an audio file, a music file. And the next time we are going to go on with editing my outro. See you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here. Let's go on with our tutorial. I'm going to finish my outro today in this video. Doing that, I'm going to cover some filters, but basically in the next video then I'm going to go into the detail of all those filters, or at least of many of them. Probably not going to cover all of them in one video, but we'll see about that. Today I'm going to just finish my outro. I have a black picture here, which is the size of the video, 720p. Sometimes if I had a picture that was not the same size as the video files here, there was some error in the output, like the video itself was kind of shrinked down, and there was a black border around the video, and then the picture in the end was full size in the video. So there was some kind of error that sometimes only occurred, not always. So, but that's why I prepared a picture with 720p picture size. I added that with Arvan View, a picture editor, but I guess you can use quite a few other programs for this, if you also have this problem, of course. But I'm going to drag and drop this into the video timeline here. You see it has a fixed duration, but I can simply drag this, and with the magnet again activated, it just clips in here, and I can drag it and make it longer duration. Now what I want to do is I want to add some text to this black picture. In order to do this, we are going to apply a filter. We are going to click on filters here and click on this plus button. Now here what you can see is it's a menu with all the filters listed. We have 3 different selections down here. Basically, this means video filters. Sorry. This means audio filters. And those with the star in front are my favorites. That means like for quick access you can have them in this line here. The ones you use the most. Now for adding text we have 2 different possibilities, 2 different filters. We can add 3D text. I'm going to cover this in the next video. But today we are going to just use text. If I click on this, it automatically brings up another menu here. If I click back here, it will show me the time. This is because it automatically, this is preset in Shotcut here. It will have some code in here, time code. If I just delete this, it will be gone, right? So automatically, I can also click on this here again to add the time code again. I can click on the frame. I can file date, on file name, right? So I can instantly, easily just add this and don't need to look up like how the picture is called or something, you know. But I don't want to do this now. What I want to do is I want to write Mr. Echo Productions. Now as you can see, the more I write, the smaller the font gets. For some reason, it does not, like you can here click on Verdana. It's going to open up the font setting menu. You can select different fonts, font types. You can have different styles, bold, italic, and bold italic together. And here also the size. But when I click on this and hit OK, it doesn't do anything. Even if I mark this and click then 11, it doesn't do anything. I don't know why this doesn't work. I guess it's going to be fixed in the future. But with me it just doesn't work. Maybe it's just me, just on my computer, I don't know. But how I'm going to actually make the font smaller is I'm going to add some lines to this. I'm going to also move this down here. That's a good way to move it around as well. I can delete some lines again. That is a bit too big. Now we have it. Mr. Echo Productions is the right position now. This is how I'm going to go around this. I didn't find another solution. This is a bit complicated, but it still works for me, and I'm going to use it like that. But when I'm going to scroll down here, for instance, and would want to type in "hope you enjoyed it," it will be the same font size. So the way to go around this problem is we just add another text filter. Now I can delete this again and hit enter a few times and write "hope you enjoyed it. Till next time." And just add a few more lines here in order to make it smaller and reposition it. Again, this is a bit complicated, I know, but this is currently the only way I've found that works. So I'm gonna use this. It works for me. Anyways, now we have actually put up the text, and if we go through the video, you can see the text already appearing. Now what we also want to do is, of course, we want to stop the audio at the point where the video stops. So we're going to cut it up and delete the rest out. Additionally, if we're going to end the video at some point, we don't want to an abrupt ending where it just stops the video. So instead, I'm going to fade out the video. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hit filters again. And I'm going to add another filter here. I'm going to add fade in or fade out video. You can find this here. I'm going to add fade out video. In this case, I'm going to go with 1 second, hitting enter, and let's see how this looks like. So as you could see, in the end of the video now, it faded out the text. I also want to fade out the audio. But before I'm going to do this, I'm going to overlap this part of the video with this part, so that we don't have an abrupt cut in here as well, right? We want to fade in the text. So I'm going to do that, and let's see how this looks like. That looks a lot nicer. Now we have another cut back here. Of course, now that the video went shorter, and now we would just have a fade out, and the audio goes on. We don't want that. We could do that. We could have a black video part in the end still, if we just fade out the text. But in this case, I don't want to do that. So now I'm going to also fade out the audio, but I'm going to select a part of the audio where where fading it out makes actually some sense. You heard this part? Now the audio went down. If I go on, it will start again with some new audio, and fading it out wouldn't really make any sense. So what I'm going to do, I'm cutting this here. I'm going to move this in front just to see if where I cut it is actually the correct position. Perfect. That's exactly the position I wanted to be at. Now I could, if I would have cut the wrong way, I could move this back here together again, but for now I'm just simply going to delete this part. I'm also going to remove that part, and I'm going to cut off the video at this point. Therefore I'm going to fade out the video. I'm gonna deselect the fade out video for this. I'm going to cut the video at this point, and I'm going to delete this part. But because now we cut off some part of the video, I'm also going to have to reapply the fade out video part. Going to select 1 second again, and it worked. Now I'm also going to fade out the audio. To do that, we're going to select the audio part. We're going to hit the plus button here, and then we already have here fade out audio. I'm going to select this, 5 seconds. Now let's see how it sounds like. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So now what we have done is we have created a fade in of the text, we have created a fade out of the audio, and a fade out of the video in the end. What we can still do is, because this video that we create here is going to be in the end of the main video, I can also fade in the video in the beginning. I can do this. I simply click on fade in video, fade the video in for maybe 2 seconds, and fade in the audio as well. Fade in audio for, let's say, 3 seconds. And in order to see actually in the timeline down here when what I'm doing here and how it's fading in and fading out, I can hit the F5 key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to see the lines here, like this, like here the audio is fading out, here the audio is fading in, the video is fading in, fading out. I can go back to this and see this. As you heard and seen, the video is fading in, also the audio is fading in, and at this part now audio is going to get quieter and the video is fading out at this position as well. Now this is my outro. I've successfully reproduced it now. Next video I'm going to get into the filters, and I'm going to explain them a bit more closely. See you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here. I wish you all a happy new year. I've seen that most people are watching my Shotcut tutorials, so I decided I'm going to continue this playlist today as the first video in this year. I've recently updated to the newest version, which is the version 17.01.02. And today I'm going to talk about video filters. I've made up a list here, and I'm going to scroll through this list. These are the filters that I'm going to talk about, either in this video only, or maybe a second video if it would get too long. But those are the filters I'm going to discuss. To some, I don't really have to say a lot. They are self-explanatory, but they can still turn out very useful. I just want to show you that they are there, basically. So let's just jump right in here. Brightness, first off. We have to mark this as active, right? Otherwise it's not going to affect anything. I mean, if I just untick this here and I increase the brightness or decrease it, nothing happens. But if I then tick it and make it active, it actually does something. As you can see, we can increase and decrease brightness. This is one of those filters. I don't really have to say a lot to this one because it's self-explanatory. But we can use this. Next up is color grading. If we activate this real quick, we can affect highlights, midtones, and shadows. We can change the color by clicking in the field here and dragging around our cursor. We can affect the color and also how bright or dark this color is going to be. And we can always reset this again with these buttons here. Reset to default, as you can see. We can affect the midtones and we can affect the shadows. In this case, shadows don't really do anything. Resetting that again and going to the next one, contrast. Activating this again, we can decrease and increase the contrast. Again, self-explanatory, don't need to tell you anything more about this. You can always set a preset here. You can save the preset, type in a name and hit OK. You're gonna have a preset to select from, but that's basically all to it. Next up would be crop. Now here it gets a bit more interesting. Here we can cut in from the top and cut out a scene. Coming from the bottom again, we could cut out this chicken here. Now we have a stripe here. Let's cut in from the left and also from the right to have an outtake only of this chicken. Of course, if the video goes on, chicken might go out of the picture, right? But here we can cut it like this. Interesting function, very good function too. It's very usable if you want to point out some specific part of the video. Glow. If we activate this, it blurs the picture, it gives it a glow, kind of. I'm not sure how practical this filter is. I don't think I'm going to ever use it, but it's there if you need it. Next thing, invert colors. We can activate this and we have inverted colors. Again, that's all to it. There's not even a slider down here, but we get a nice inverted color effect. Next up is lens correction. Now here it gets a bit more interesting. We can kind of create a old TV look, if you like. We can do several things. We can tilt it, we can rotate it a bit, the picture. I'm not exactly sure when you need this, but it has a neat effect if you make these settings. It kind of has a lovely border if you like it. But apart from that, I don't really need to use this ever. Next one is mirror. If we activate this, we can mirror the image, which can come in handy, but that's again all to it. And then we have old film dust. Here we have two sliders. First off, the size. It affects it pretty much already. And the amount. You can change the amount with this slider here. Now if you let this roll through, you can see it has some old film effects if you want to make it seem old. Next up would be grain. It adds grain to it. If we play this back, you can see how this affects. We also have a brightness control, separate brightness control, which controls the brightness of the picture and not of the grain. Then we have old film grain, and what this does, it adds noise, basically. If you now play this back, you can see the noise coming along. You can also decrease the brightness or increase it here, separately again. You have seen the brightness control filter already. But that's all to it again. Next up is old film projector. If we activate this, here are a lot of sliders. Brightness up, brightness down. You can see how you can set different things here. How deep the brightness should go down. You can see now it gets much darker. Now it doesn't get as dark anymore. Tons of sliders. If you really want to create an old film mistakes kind of, then this is your filter here. I'm not going to discuss every single slider here, just so that you know that they are there and you can play around by yourself with them if you want to create this projector environment, the projector feeling. Old film scratches. If you watch those films back in the days, you can see here there are some scratches, sometimes some horizontal lines. You can increase the amount of them, how dark they are, how bright they are, and how broad those are. Next up is noise reduction. Activating this, playing it back. Here we can decrease noise level. In this case, we don't really have a lot of noise, so we also don't see the effects, but we could use noise reduction here. Rotation. You can rotate our video. We can turn it on its head if we like. You can also type in here 180. Hit enter. It's not a very good idea because we lose our selection here. Turn it on its head. We can zoom in and zoom out if we like. Zoom out a bit. And we can move it along the X offset or the Y offset if we like, and position it exactly where we want it. Maybe zoom out a bit, move it over there. Maybe up there like this. And then we could have another video if we like and create an overlay picture-in-picture effect. But more to this later. Then deactivating this rotation filter again and having saturation. Saturation, of course, self-explanatory again. Color saturation, decrease it or increase it, create a black and white feel kind of. That's again all that's to this saturation part. Sharpening is next. Activating this. I'm going to move the sliders here so that you can see what the effect is. As you can see in the preview here, that this is smoothing it, making it less sharp. And here we increase the sharpness. So we can not only make it sharper, but also less sharp. And the size, moving this around, does only do very subtle difference in the video. Probably you can't even see it in the recording here, but there is a bit of a difference. I don't know exactly what it does and what it is for, but yeah. Then we have size and position. Activating this, we can here name how many pixels the video should have. And then we have size mode. We can fit it. We can fill the whole grid that we have here. We could drag this grid here and make it smaller, as you can see. We can fit it to the size of the video. We can fill it. We can also distort it. Not sure what this exactly does, but I guess if the aspect ratio is not the same, it would stretch it, kind of. I believe that's what it is. I'm not sure, so don't take this for granted. I'm going to go with fill here, or let's say fit, and then we can center this, if you like, on the horizontal line, and also in the vertical line we can make it fit. Now it's exactly in the middle. You can also fit it to the bottom and to the right, just as we like it. Now we can also take this and drag this around like we want it, the way we want it. And we can also, when we click on filling it and then make this smaller here, we could just align it with the video here. Now if I had another video, let's say I'm importing here this video, putting it in the line here, aligning it and making it shorter, cutting it and deleting this part. We have now we can't see this video that I made shorter and smaller, that should be up here now. We can't see it because this video line here is the main video line, I believe. Maybe this is an error in the program, I'm not sure, because this should actually say that it's compositing it and you can see it, but it doesn't work. In this case, I just need to drag it up here into the third video line to overlay it, as you can see. Now we can see both videos. So as you can see, video line 2 is overlaying video line 1. I can show you this better if I apply a filter to the video line 2 with size and position, making it smaller. Here you can see it now. Video line 2 is overlaying video line 1. And now we are going to move on to alpha channel view. Actually, I'm gonna apply the size and position filter again because I need this to show you this filter here. We have different background selections. We can have checkered background. We can also have white background, for instance. This is going to just affect the background, basically. We also have, for instance, red, gray, alpha, which is also affecting the videos. But I don't think you would want this in a video. And then opacity. I've added the second video again to show you this better. I'm going to apply a filter to this video, namely opacity, and now you can see what I mean. This is how it looks now. Now we can have different opacity, and we see both videos. Even though this one is overlaying this one, changing the opacity will add some neat effect here. Alright, so much to opacity. I'm gonna hide this video lane here. Again, deselect opacity, and let's go on with the filters. Stabilize. You can stabilize the video. I will just increase all the sliders to the maximum. You need to click on Analyze to use this filter, to apply this filter. And when I click on this, it will open up a folder where I have to select a file to store analysis results. I'm going to name this Stabilize. Hit save, and now it is analyzing the video. While this is finishing this, I'm going to go on with another filter, vignette. As you can see, we have some vignette kind of appearance here. We can increase and decrease the radius. We can increase feathering, which means which is kind of affecting the blending in from the vignette. And then we have opacity. We can change the opacity of the vignette effect. Setting this back, let's go on with the next one, wave. Activating this, it kind of has some waving effect. Playing this back, kind of, it's a very weird kind of drunken effect. We can increase the speed of the waves, which looks very, very weird. Not sure if you can use this somewhere, but at least it's there. You can play around with this maybe. And then we have white balance, where we can correct the white balance if it's kind of wrongly set in the video. Those are all the filters. Now I'm going to show you the stabilize filter. I'm going to apply it and playing this back. As you can see, it zooms in so that we can stabilize the video. And now we have a very stable video. We can of course decrease the zoom and then analyze it again to have a better effect of this. But it is very stable, as you can see, right? To stabilize the video after it's recorded, it needs to zoom in so that the shaking can be outbalanced again. And it does a very good job, as you can see. It's very stable. You don't even see any shaking out there. So now I've discussed all the video filters that I wanted to talk about. And in the next video, I'm going to cover audio filters. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here. Today I'm gonna make another Shotcut tutorial video. This time I'm going to talk about the audio filters in Shotcut, and I'm going to scroll through the ones again that I'm going to discuss. Again, I'm not going to go through all of the audio filters that there are in the program, but a lot of them. So let's start with balance. Here we can make the audio louder on the left or on the right side. If I play this audio back, now it's in the middle, now it's centered. But if I move this over there, you can hear that it's going to the left or to the right, and more now on the right side. And that's again all to this filter. So let's go on with the next one, bass and treble. Here we get sliders that you would also get in an equalizer, only that here we only have 3 sliders, one for bass, one for middle, and one for treble. We don't have buttons here to reset to the defaults, but we can always load the preset defaults. I'm going to play this back again so that you can hear the differences, increasing bass, decreasing it, treble, does only do subtle differences, but still it can help you out a lot. Next one is compressor. All I'm going to say about this filter is that compressor is used to decrease the volume of the loud parts in your audio file and increase the quiet parts, so that the difference between the loud and the quiet parts is getting less. And there's the difference to normalizing. Normalizing only increases or decreases the audio, but the ratio between the loud and the quiet noises stays the same. Next one is delay. This filter is causing an echo by delaying the audio and still playing the original audio at the same time. Let me demonstrate you this. Can you hear the echo? We can now of course increase the duration of the echo and also the noise of the delayed echo. Next one is fade in audio and fade out audio. You already know those filters from previous videos of mine. You can basically only set how quickly the audio increases in the beginning or decreases in the end. Next one is gain and volume. Here we can increase the volume. Of course, here the audio is distorted if we make it too loud, and we can also make it quieter. Next filter is limiter. This does several things at the same time. First off, we can increase the input gain and decrease it. And secondly, we can also limit how loud the audio should maximum be. So if I want to increase the volume because the audio is too quiet, but I still don't want the audio to be distorted at any point, then I can limit the maximum volume so that no distortion can occur. So if I play this back now and move the slider of release, you can hear that the audio is messed up pretty badly. So we need this release slider here in order to smoothen out the audio. If we play it back now again, increasing this, the audio seems much nicer. If we increase this to the maximum, it's even better. Next one on the list is mute. Here we can mute the audio. Now we can't hear the audio anymore. We don't really need this filter because we can simply mute the audio lane here. But if we if we cut this, let's say I'm cutting out this part here, and I want only this part to be muted, then I can apply the filter without affecting the other parts of the lane. Then we have normalize 1 pass and normalize 2 pass. Using normalize 2 pass, we have easier settings. We only have one slider here, and we can adjust the target loudness with this slider, and then we have to click on Analyze. But to analyze the track oftentimes takes very long. If you want direct normalizing applied, then you should use normalize 1 pass. Here again we can set our target loudness. I'm going to set it down very quietly now. Then we can also set the maximum gain that should be applied by the normalizing and the minimum gain. And that would be a minus 15 decibel here. Decreasing this will allow me to have the audio much quieter. Let's listen to this now. Now you almost cannot hear it anymore. And finally we have maximum rate of decrease and increase. Setting this down to, say, 0.7 decibel per second and playing this back will slowly, in the rate of 0.7 decibels per second, decrease the volume. Then we have pan. This basically does the same as the balance filter. Playing back the audio here. Now it pans it to the right. If I select right channel, pans it. Then we have reverb filter. Applying this, add some room effects. Here we have some presets, like in a church or in a large hall or in a sewer. If we try this, the settings change, and when we play this back, it sounds like we would be in a sewer now. Next one is swap channels. In a stereo audio, this is going to just simply change the channels of the audio. As you can hear, swaps the channels. So that's it on audio filters. Hope you enjoyed my video. So see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here. I have been asked how to best export a video so that you can upload it then to YouTube. And I thought, how could I better respond to this question than by uploading another tutorial video about exporting the video. So here we are in the Export tab. So the first thing you can select here is from what source you want to export a video. You can either select from timeline. This is then the edited video that you edited down here. You can also select from playlist. This is gonna be then exporting files that you imported into the playlist, into the program here. And you can also select the source, the video that is currently selected. Let's stay with timeline here. Then next up is format. Here MP4 is selected. You have a whole bunch of different kind of formats, like really many of them. And then we have 4 different tabs here. First off is video. Here we can type in the resolution, just as we want it, the aspect ratio that we want, the frames per second. This is straightforward. But here we have scan mode, progressive or interleaved. Depending on what you want, progressive is normally better, but there's a larger file size then. To quickly explain you the difference between progressive and interleaved video, progressive basically gives you, like if you have a 30 frames per second video, it basically shows you 30 full resolution pictures per second. If you select interleaved, you have basically 30 half pictures per second. And 2 of those interleaved frames are going to make up basically 1 full resolution frame. So what this allows you to do is have more frames per second at a lower file size. Looking at the video, you won't see a difference. It's basically when you then do slow motion with the video, you're going to be able to see it. Basically 30 interleaved frames per second are going to be something like 15 frames per second in reality. Then we have field order. This is basically important only when we have selected interlaced video, because then we can select top field first or bottom field first. This is basically one of those half pictures. Which half picture is going to be shown first? De-interlacer is basically making a interlaced video to a progressive one. Then we have interpolation. Not exactly sure what that does, but basically you should be fine with those settings left like that. What you want to change here is basically the resolution, if you have another resolution video, and frames per second. On YouTube you normally have 30 frames per second, 50 or 60, that's kind of the standard. Here we have selected H264. It's called differently, but that's basically the H264 codec. We want to use that. With that one, it definitely works to upload it to YouTube. I always use that one, so should be good to go. Next up is rate control. What this is going to allow you to set is the megabytes per second, or the quality of the video. Here, quality based VBR, video bitrate I guess, is selected, and here we have 60% quality. That's the standard. I never really use this setting because it's too weak for me. I don't know how many megabytes per second this video is going to have then. So what I always choose is constant or average bitrate. What I found is that constant bitrate, it's kind of mixed up here. Constant bitrate is average bitrate. Here we have the bitrate. We can select this. 2 megabytes is selected, 2 megabytes per second. It's a very bad quality of the video. With 1080p 30 frames per second videos, you basically want to have something like maybe 18 megabytes per second. For YouTube videos, you don't need to go that high. 12, I guess, would be fine. It always depends on how much is going on in your video. When I'm just recording the screen here, with not a lot of motion going on, then the bitrate of the video can be very low, can go down to 4 megabytes per second, because there's not much going on in the video, and that's why we don't lose any quality. And then we have buffer size. As I said, it's average bitrate actually. It basically has a buffer. It doesn't always have constantly 12 megabytes per second now, but varying on how much motion is going on, it's going to be a bit less or a bit more of the bitrate. And selecting average bitrate here doesn't give us the buffer size anymore. It's just giving us the bitrate. So this is actually the constant bitrate setting. Then we have GOP. It says here, it gives the description, group of pictures, which is the maximum keyframe interval. I've read that this should be half the amount of the frames per second that you've selected. So here we have 30, and we are going to select 15. B-frames, I never messed around with those settings. Codec, threads, not either. But what you can do is you could also disable the video. If you want to export, for instance, just the audio, you could do that by just disabling the video. Next up is audio. Here we can select the sample rate, ranging from 8000 to 96,000 Hertz. The codec, a ton of different codecs again. I'm always going with AAC. We have the rate control again, just as with the video, or with the codec tab here. Here we can select average, constant, and quality based. And here again, quality based. I don't really know what to do with this percentage, so I always select constant or average bitrate. And this varies from 16 to 512 kilobytes per second. Again, you can disable the audio. And then on the fourth tab, we have other. I always ignored that tab because you can't really do anything here that you couldn't do in those three tabs, so just forget about the other one. And then when we have set up those settings, we could hit the plus button down here and add a preset. We can type in the name of the preset, just something, hit OK, and then it would appear up here in the custom presets. I have some presets already. You won't have them from the beginning, but I made some presets for myself here. And then what you want to do is basically export the file. This is going to open up a window where you can basically select the file name and where you want to save it to. When you have a custom preset, make sure that when you type in the name, that you add the file extension that you want. That will be .mp4 in my case here. And then you can hit save and it's going to export it. It's going to show over there. I'm actually going to do that, export. And you can see over here, it's exporting it now. And it's showing me how much of the job is done already. Clicking down here on the pause button is not going to pause the jobs that are active in the moment. It is just going to stop starting jobs that come in newly automatically. So normally now, in this case, for instance, I clicked on save it there or export it, and it already started the job and it's exporting it now. If I would click on pause here and I would export it again, it would not start automatically, but I would have to manually start it then. I would have to manually click on right click and start this job. In this case it says stop this job. And that's how you can stop the job as well. You can click here, stops the job, stopped. And then we can start it again. As you noticed, it doesn't pause it, it starts from the beginning again. So if you're exporting a video with those settings that we have gone through here, then there should be no problem with uploading them to YouTube. This is it, guys. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here. Today I'm going to make another Shotcut tutorial video. I've been asked to make a video on how to balance out the audio in your videos. That is, if you have, for instance, an intro or an outro that is way louder than your voice in the rest of the video, how can you balance out the audio levels there? Even if within your video you all of a sudden talk very loud because you're kind of getting closer to the microphone, or you decrease the input gain like this, and you can't really hear me speaking anymore, how can I increase this again so that you can hear me again better? There are different methods on how to do that, so let's jump into it. So if we play this back here, hey guys, Mr. Echo here. Today I'm going so you can hear already that the voice of me speaking is much quieter than the audio of the introduction. So in order to balance out the audio, I can either decrease the volume of the introduction music or increase the volume of me speaking. In order to decrease the audio of the introduction music, I'm going to have to apply a filter to it. I'm going to use the gain or volume filter, activating it. I have this bar here. This filter is going to give me the control over how loud or quiet I want the audio to be. As I want to decrease the volume, I will play back the introduction video and simultaneously decrease the gain. Can you hear how the audio volume suddenly decreases? And if I let it play now. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here. Today I'm going to make another shortcut. The volume of me speaking is now actually louder a bit than the introduction video. That would already be one way of how to balance out the audio. A second way would be to apply a normalized filter. As we can set the target loudness here, we can set this all the way up and then hit analyze. Now it analyzed the video and should have made it louder. I've been asked to make a video on how to balance. There is, however, a problem with this method and doesn't always work perfectly fine. If you just increase the track size here, we can see the audio graph, the volume graph here. And if we move further ahead, we have this very high peak in audio. This is where I'm talking louder. Levels there. Even if within your video you all of a sudden talk very loud because you're... Here now, first of all, we can hear that the audio is distorted. So what we could learn from this is that this normalized filter doesn't work perfectly fine, and we will need to have to decrease the target loudness, analyze it again, and then play it back another time there to see if it's still distorts. Even if within your video you all of a sudden talk very loud because you're kind of getting closer to the microphone. Now it doesn't distort anymore. The problem is, however, that if you are setting the target loudness to some value, then the volume of this audio is not going to ever be louder than the target loudness. But if there is a peak in the audio that already reaches this target loudness, and the rest of the audio is very quiet, like it would be here. Here we have very quiet audio, and then here it's already at the peak. Then this part of the audio, the quieter one, is not increased. Because normalizing the audio doesn't change the difference between the loud and the quiet parts in your audio. It just increases or decreases the whole audio to the maximum target loudness. If we want, however, to have the quieter parts of our audio become louder while the loud parts of the audio become quieter, we would need to apply the compressor filter. Applying this filter correctly is, however, as you can see here, very complicated. I myself also don't know enough about this filter so that I could make a valuable explanation of how to use it. So I won't cover this in my video. I just want you to know that this option is there, and if you want to use it, you will have to check out somewhere else how to use that properly. If you don't want to mess about with this compressor filter, then you can still manually do the same thing by simply cutting out the parts that are louder of the video, adding a gain and volume filter, and making it quieter. Now listening back to this, in the rest of the video, how can you balance out the audio levels there? Even if within your video you all of a sudden talk very loud because you're kind of getting closer to the microphone. Now the audio levels are balanced out again. And for the quiet part, I can of course also cut out that part and increase the volume of it. So if I play this back, decrease the input gain like this, and you can't really hear me speaking anymore. How can I increase this again? Now you can hear me speak again and the audio is balanced out. Alright, so I hope that the explanations in this video were helpful, and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to talk about how to make slow motion and fast motion video. In Shotcut this is quite simple and straightforward. All we gotta do is select the clip that we want to work with and then click on Properties. Here we have some properties of the video clip, we have some settings, and speed, playback speed, is what we want to work with today. Now looking at the video clip that I've imported here, you can see that the video is already fast motion. That's because I created that clip a few days ago. Now if you look at the video, it takes 4 minutes and 8 seconds. And if I scan through this a bit, we can see that it goes from a bright evening to the traffic lights being switched on, to getting darker and darker and even darker. Depending on the purpose of the video, you might want to have this video shorter overall and not 4 minutes long. In order to do that, we gotta increase the playback speed. If we set this to 2 times the speed and hit enter, you've seen that the duration of the video actually got halved now. It's 2 minutes and 4 seconds remaining. Selecting the clip again will show us that now the speed is 2 times. However, 2 minutes and 7 seconds is probably still too long. If I want to have this video clip, for instance, just 10 seconds long, then I will need to increase the speed even further. Let's try 10 times playback speed. It's still not 25 seconds. That means increasing it to 20 times playback speed will decrease the time duration to 12 seconds. Now with Shotcut, this is the maximum. I cannot type in 4, 5 or anything else. 20 times playback speed is the fastest you can select. Now of course you can export the video, import it again as another video file, and then speed it up again even further. But 20 times the playback speed is already quite powerful. Now playing back this clip here in 20 times speed is going to stress my processor too much. As you can see, the seconds would start here, so it's quite slow to play back. It can't handle this massive compression. It needs to basically in real time compress that 4-minute duration into only 12 seconds, and that is quite hard on your processor. But exporting this file here 20 times playback speed is going to give me a smooth playback again. So don't worry, it's only hard on the processor now in this video editor, but not later on when the video has been exported. I will export the video now and we'll be back in a second. Here we are back with the exported video, and I'm going to play it back. As you can see, playback is smooth and only 12 seconds long. Now here we are back with our original clip again. What if I want to do slow motion now? Instead of increasing the speed, I want to decrease the speed. So we'll type in 0.5. Hit enter, and now you can see the duration of the video is 8 minutes and 16 seconds. And now it's playing at half of the standard playback speed. We could decrease this to 1/100th of the playback speed, which is extremely powerful with this video editor here. If I select this 0.01 playback speed, we have a total duration of 6 hours, well, basically 7 hours. And playing it back gives us a very static, picture-like video. Now, when increasing the playback speed or making fast motion video, you have to consider fixing your camera on a tripod while shooting the video. Because when there is camera shake, it's going to be amplified by the increased playback speed, so that the camera shake is very quick and you need more stabilization on the video. And the more stabilization you apply to a video, the more it gotta zoom into the video to compensate for this camera shake. And then when doing slow motion video, you should make sure that your video stays above 15 or 20 frames per second. Otherwise, the people who watch your videos are going to notice the low frame rate. So if you shoot a video with 60 frames per second and you're doing a half the playback speed, so 0.5 times playback speed, then you're going to have 30 frames per second left. Increasing that to 1/4 of the playback speed is going to leave you with 15 frames per second, which is already quite low. Alright guys, this is it for today. I hope the video was informative, and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to talk about how to create slideshows. When importing pictures into Shotcut by dragging them into the playlist window, the program is going to create short video clips out of that picture. That is also why it can take some time until the picture actually appears in the playlist, because it requires some processing to create that clip. Once it appears in the playlist, you can simply drag it into your timeline. Now the default duration of that picture video clip is 5 seconds. I can set this default duration, however, by clicking on the clip that I imported onto the timeline, click on Properties, and here we have some settings for the duration. If I change this now, change it to 3 seconds, and set that to default. And if I now go back to the playlist, it will still tell me that the duration is 5 seconds because that picture has been imported before I change the default. When importing another picture, however, it's going to import it as a 3-second clip. Here we have another picture now with 3 seconds duration. Now I can just as well edit that to the timeline. Now if I want to individually adjust the length of each picture, I can also do that by simply aligning the cursor on the border of the clip, clicking and dragging it to make it longer or shorter. Now I have a 5-second duration. Back to 3 seconds again. Now when watching these video clips, You can either have it like this without any transition, or you're going to overlap them by clicking on them and dragging them over so that they overlap each other and fade in and fade out, which would look like this then. Sadly, there are no transition effects in Shotcut, so the only thing you can do is overlapping them and letting them fade out and fade in. And now when wanting to overlay these pictures with some audio, you can simply right-click, add an audio track, and then you just add some audio and drag it down here on the timeline. And that's basically already it. There's not much to it, and Shotcut doesn't offer a lot of transition effects, but there you go. That's how you create slideshows. Hope this video was informative. See you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. This is the second video of part 9 of my Shotcut tutorials. In the first video I said that there are no transition effects within Shotcut, and that's not true. Luckily, someone told me in a comment that there are transition effects, so I checked it out and now I'm going to talk about transition effects. Alright, let's create the scenario that we had last time. I'm going to import 2 pictures. I'm going to add them together so that there is no gap between them, and then I'm going to click on them and drag them over to create a transition. Now when I watched it and play this back, you can see there's some transition here. But that transition, this fade in, fade out, is not the only transition that we have. If you double click on this transition in the timeline down here and then click on properties, this adds the properties for the transitions. Currently we have the dissolve video transition activated, but here are a ton of other video transitions that we can select from. Let's select bar vertical and then play this back. As you can see, now there's another transition. If I activate invert wipe, then it will go the other direction, from bottom to the top. And the next thing is softness. If I select 0% softness, then we will have a very hard border in the transition. If I go all the way up to 100% softness and play this back, you will see that it's very subtle. There's not such a hard line. So this have been the video settings for the transition, but we also have audio settings here. Now crossfade is selected by default, and what that does is it automatically decreases the audio as the first video or picture fades out and increases the audio of the second video that fades in. But maybe for some reason we want to have the audio only of the first video clip, so part A, or of part B. Then there's no crossfading going on. It just, as soon as the transition starts, the audio of the video B, of the second video, would play in full volume. If I want to have a constant mixture of the two, for instance 50% loudness on the A and 50% loudness on the B in the second clip, then I can select it like this. But crossfade does dynamically change the volume of the two clips. Now I'll show you some more of the transitions. Let's select diagonal top right, deactivate invert wipe, then play this back, create less softness, iris box, look how this looks like. So you get an idea, there are several different transition effects within Shotcut, and you can select custom transitions. If you click on this, you can select different downloaded transitions that you have. Alright guys, so I covered the transitions within Shotcut now. I hope the video was informative, and sorry for the misinformation in the first video, and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to show you how to overlay your video, your main video, with small thumbnail video clips or pictures. You can later on then in YouTube make them clickable thumbnails, and I'm going to show you how to do this too. Now we gotta start with our video clip, and as we can see here next time, the video is ending with an outro. Now the goal is to make some small thumbnail pictures or video clips within that main video so that you can hint to other videos that you made or videos that are interesting concerning this topic, for instance. In order to do that, we gotta right click here and add another video track. Now we can simply drag in our other video clip that we want to use as a thumbnail into the second video lane. And now when we play back the video, we can see that the new video is overlaying the old one, or the main video. Now what we want to do, of course, is cut this video so that the thumbnail video isn't longer than the main video. And then, in order to make them smaller, we are going to apply a filter, and that is the size and position filter. I've covered that filter in my video filter tutorial video. We can simply make the video smaller here, drag it into position, and then play our video back. As you can hear now, both the audio of the main video and the audio of the second video, of the thumbnail video, are playing. You might want to have the thumbnail video audio playing back, but if you don't want to, you simply hit the mute button here, and then when playing it back further, you just hear the audio of the main video. If you, however, want to have the audio playing back of the thumbnail video, you might want to mute the main video's audio. In order to do that, we're gonna cut it here and apply a filter. And that will be the mute filter. Now when playing it back, we only hear the audio of the thumbnail video. Then again, we could want to have the thumbnail video play back the audio a bit more quietly. In order to do that, we could apply another filter, and that would be the gain and volume filter, and then simply reduce the gain to what you want to have it. Now if we want to add a picture, a thumbnail picture to our video, then we simply right click, add another video track, go to our playlist, add the picture, drag it over so that it starts at the same time as the other thumbnail video or picture. Click on its border and drag it to make it longer. And then we have our thumbnail appear here. Again, we want to add a filter, the size and position filter, and then we simply make it smaller, adjust its size and its position by dragging it over. And then we have both our video and our thumbnail picture playing back. Now that's it with the Shotcut part, and now I'm going to go into YouTube, into the YouTube video manager, and I'm going to show you how to make those videos, those small thumbnail pictures and video clips, clickable in YouTube. So here we are now in my YouTube channel page, and I'm going to click on my profile picture and on Creator Studio. We can click on Edit here on the videos, or we head over to Video Manager, and then we have a list of all the videos you published. I'm going to simply hit Edit, and then go up here to end screen and annotation. Then we get two options, end screen or annotations. I'm going to select annotations, and now I'm heading over to the end of the video. Outro. Now here we are in the outro of my video. Now if that would be the video that we just created in Shotcut, then we would have a thumbnail picture here and a thumbnail video here. In order to make those thumbnails clickable, then we can simply add an annotation, for instance a spotlight, and then click on it and drag it over where the picture or the video would then be. And then we can simply check the link box here, select what we want to link, and then simply copy and paste the link of the video here. In the end, when we are done, we can apply the changes, and that will be it. So I hope this video was informative, and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. When you rotate your camera while you are filming, chances are your video is going to look similar to mine. As you can see here, now the camera has been rotated. The video frame, however, is not going to rotate with the camera, so now the orientation is wrong. Now in order to fix the orientation, I'm going to select the parts which should be in landscape mode but are in portrait mode. I'm going to cut the video there, select the end point, set a cut, and then I have my part here, which should be in landscape orientation. Now let's apply a filter to this one. Apply the rotate filter. Select 270 degrees. And now we encounter a problem. Shotcut is previewing the video still in the portrait orientation, and therefore it's cutting off the edges of the video that we have now in landscape orientation. In order to fix this, we're going to have to go to Settings, Video Mode, and Automatic is what is selected from the start. Here we have to select one of those presets, and we can also make a custom preset. Already made some custom presets, let's add one. We can set a name to it, we can set the resolution, the aspect ratio, frames per second, progressive mode, that's what we want. With those settings, you tell Shotcut how Shotcut itself should preview the video. Now I'm not going to create a preset here because I already have a preset. I'm going to select 720p 30 frames per second. And as you can see, now the orientation changed. The whole frame here, the whole preview window is filled out because it's in a 16:9 ratio now. But as you can see, the actual video is smaller than the whole video frame. The whole video frame goes until the edges here. In order to fix this, we are going to have to select the part that we rotated and then change the scale, increasing the scale until it fits the whole video frame. I found the right number and correct number to be 178.5%. Now the video is covering and filling up the whole frame. Now when we play the video back, we can see the not rotated part, the portrait video part, then the landscape orientation part, and now we can export the video, set our settings, export the file, rotation. Now the video has been exported, let's play it back. You can see the part that should be in landscape orientation is now in landscape orientation. Now you have to consider one thing though. I have been using the version 16.10.01. With this version that worked out. But if you use another version, and that would be for instance, the version 17.03.02, if you're using this one, there will be an error in it, it won't work. I've repeated the very same steps with this newer version of Shotcut, and what came out of it was a video that was in a 1:1 aspect ratio. So watch out for this, what version you're actually using. Alright guys, that was it for today. Hope this video was informative and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to talk about white balance and color grading. In order to change the white balance, we are going to have to select our clip and add the filter white balance. Here we have a little slider and we can click on it and drag it around to change the white balance color tone. Now we can make the whole temperature a bit warmer. Can also make it colder. As you can see, it gets bluish. You can reset it again. On this video sample, I feel that the temperature should be a bit warmer, just slightly. But making it a bit warmer, that's definitely better. To watch the video for a short moment. Birds chasing after each other and suddenly disappearing. So that's the basic function of the white balance filter. You can adjust the color temperature. Basically what white balance is if your camera has set it correctly, then the parts in the video that should be white are going to be white. However, your camera, it can be very difficult for your camera to get the white balance correct all the time. Sometimes the color temperature is too warm, sometimes it's too cold. You can detect that in your video if your color temperature seems unnatural. Also, if parts of the video that should be white, like a piece of paper, is actually not white, but rather yellowish or bluish. And with this video editor here, with this filter in post-production, what we try to do is we try to make those parts in the video that should be white actually white, so that the color temperature is correct again. It's easier for us to do that if we have a video that actually contains white parts. In this one we have snow, it should be white. In such a case we can use another tool of this filter, and that would be this tool button here. If we click on this, we get a cross. And with this cross we can mark or click on the selected spot in our video that is white or should be white. In this video, even though the video contains a lot of white snow, some parts of the snow are actually darker because of shadowy areas. If I click in this area here, as you can see, the white balance has now been changed. However, I think now the color temperature is a bit too cold still. If we are not satisfied with the automatic tool here that we can use, now for instance the color is a bit too brownish. As I said, this spot here, this video part, is very tricky because of the shadowy areas. So if we don't find a truly white spot, then we can still use our slider here. And now you can see, if I move the slider to make the temperature a bit warmer, then you can see that the snow gets a yellowish tint to it. The whole video, in fact, gets a yellowish tint. If I make the video colder, the snow becomes a lot bluer. Alright, that's all for white balance. Now let's get into color grading. I selected the color grading filter, and what we can do here is we can affect the shadows, the midtones and the highlights. We can adjust the brightness of those with those sliders here, and we can adjust the color of those. Now if we adjust the sliders here, we can make the video become a bit reddish. Maybe this color would kind of make it seem older, would kind of make it seem like it has been recorded a long time ago with an old camera, giving it a bluish tint. I can also make it look like it's kind of a night shot. We can also make the brightness of those highlights darker, and by that creating a night shot experience. Resetting this again, we can also affect the midtones maybe at the same time. You can kind of play around with all those settings and then create the own look that you want to have in your specific video. If you do not change the color at all, but only the brightness, you can also make this the shot look like it's darker. But it doesn't have this kind of strong effect of a night shot if you don't give it this bluish kind of tint to it. As you can see now, this looks much more like a night shot than if I just make it darker. Alright guys, that was it for today. Hope this video was informative, and see you. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today we talk about the scenario when we have edited our video. Let's say we have a lot of cuts in our video, a lot of sequences, a lot of different video clips, if you will. Let's remove all those gaps in between. Now what if this is our finished video and we have cut the video and we have aligned everything correctly, and now we find out that we forgot to add the introduction. We can't just simply take our introduction clip from our playlist tab and drag it down onto our timeline, because it will overwrite our clips. So what we would need to do is we would need to take our track, move it to the right, take the next one, and take each and every one until we finally can edit our intro or the video clip that we want to add in. And then remove those gaps, and then we would have it. But if we have a lot of cuts, we don't want to move all the clips individually. Could take a long time. Now instead there is a much easier method. We can align our playhead to the very beginning if we want to insert it in the beginning. And then we double click our introduction video. And then we click on this little clipboard symbol here, which says paste insert clip into the current track. If we click this, it will insert the video at the current position of the playhead and move every other clip in this video track or audio track to the right. Now if I really quick undo this here and add another track, let's add an audio track. I'll just add this here, it doesn't have any audio, but it doesn't matter now. And now move the playhead in the beginning, double click my introduction video again and insert the clip. It will only insert it into the highlighted track. Now in this case, the video track above was not affected. If we want to affect also the one above or the one below, we have to select it, we have to move the playhead in the beginning and then again add the very same video clip. If we don't want to have the video or have it at both tracks, then we can simply select the clip we added and delete it, because now the gap will remain and we have moved all the clips to the right. Now if we don't want to add an introduction or a video clip to the very beginning, but somewhere where we cut the video and we click there, we cannot be certain that the playhead is exactly where the cut is. In this case we need to increase or zoom in onto the track, and then we can see that the playhead is not exactly aligned with the cut. Using the right and left arrow keys on my keyboard, I can adjust it so that now it's exactly where the cut is. Now I can click on paste and the track will be inserted. If there is no cut, like down here in the audio track, we can still align it with the cut above, where exactly we want to have it, and then we can still click on paste and it will insert the video clip. It will cut the audio clip by itself. If we delete this track and remove the gap, then the video, the audio part, will still be cut. Alright guys, this is it. Hope this video was informative and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to talk about how to troubleshoot your Shotcut program. This is going to be a rather general video. I'm not going to go into specific problems, but there are 3 general things you can do in order to troubleshoot your Shotcut program. The first thing is you can change the version of Shotcut that you're using. I know that this sounds too simple to be true, but in my case, a lot of problems have been solved by choosing and using another version of Shotcut. After some testing, I have settled with the version 16.10 because so far, for me, there were no issues with this version. Another thing you can do is, if the audio is messed up or anything went wrong with the exported file, you can try to close down Shotcut, open it again, and start over with editing. This can be very annoying if you have spent a lot of time editing your video. And the third thing you can do is you can try to determine what part of your editing causes the problem. If you make a time-lapse video, for instance, and the audio is choppy at the point where the time-lapse starts, you could, for instance, either remove the time-lapse and see if then the audio is still choppy and messed up, or you try to export the video without the audio and then add the audio in a second step. Sometimes there are errors occurring while you export your video. Often it is the case that at some specific percentage of rendering the video, the error message occurs or the video stops being exported. In that case, it is useful to know that the percentage of the export is respectively the percentage of the time duration of how long the video lasts. So for example, if your video stops exporting at 48%, you can calculate how many seconds into the video 48% is. And then within your timeline, check what editing step you did at 48% of the playback. Then you can troubleshoot by undoing those editing steps or deleting those video clips and checking if the video then exports past 48%. Alright guys, this was it for today. Hope the video was informative and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to show you how to zoom in and how to crop your videos. In my video filter tutorial I've already shown you the filter, size and position. If I activate this and I click here and drag this, make it smaller, I can definitely make the video smaller and then position it somewhere. But I cannot enlarge the video, I cannot zoom in. If I just drag it along the border, you can see the center still moves because I dragged it out over the border, but the video itself doesn't get bigger. So what if I want to zoom in into the video or crop some borders away and cut them off from the video to just show the most important part? I can play this video back for a second here. The audio isn't very good on this, it's very windy, but it's basically showing a helicopter. I'm going to mute the video so that the wind noise is not annoying. Now if I want to zoom in onto the helicopter, I will need to apply the filter crop. If I click on applying this, now there is an option to activate center bias, and then it will zoom in, theoretically, on the center object, so it will zoom in towards the center. But if I activate this and I move the bar here, nothing happens. Maybe this is because of my version or my computer, but something seems to be broken here. But that's not your only option here. I can move those bars here, top, bottom, left and right. I will cut off something from, in this case, the right border. So if I move this and make it larger, as you can see, it will cut off some of this video footage here until I'm somewhere at the helicopter. If I do the same thing with left, it will cut off something from the left border here. Now the video didn't zoom in yet because we still have the top and the bottom part that fills out the whole video frame, so it couldn't zoom in yet, otherwise we would cut something away from this part. But I want to just focus on the helicopter, so I'm also going to move in from the bottom, cutting some part of the video, and as you can see, it's already zooming in. Now I'm also going to do that with the top part here. Maybe a bit more on the bottom, a bit more on the top. Now it's more focused on the helicopter. Now during the video, I'm going to zoom in onto the helicopter with the camera. So once I zoomed in on the helicopter with the camera, I don't need to crop anymore. Note that you always, when you zoom in onto a video, you lose your resolution, you lose the quality of the video. As you can see, it's very pixelated. If I'm even zooming in more here, you can see how it really gets pixelated. Normally you want to avoid zooming in the post-production because you're going to lose picture quality, video quality. Let me zoom out here again. So I zoomed in onto the helicopter, way too much for keeping good quality, but this is just for demonstrational purposes. So I'm going to keep it zoomed in. Now when I play back the video, as you can see, the video is zoomed in on the helicopter and you can see the helicopter much larger than you would normally. But while I film the helicopter, I zoom in on it as well. So later on, when the helicopter in the actual video is larger, I don't need to zoom in so much anymore, or not at all anymore. So what I want to do is I want to cut the video where I don't need to zoom in anymore by pressing S or clicking this split at playhead button, then selecting the second clip here and disapplying the crop filter. Now when I play this back from the start, in the beginning the video is zoomed in, as you can see, but later when it's not needed anymore, the video is not zoomed in anymore, but the camera itself zoomed in on it. Sadly, Shotcut does not yet support keyframing, which means you cannot have a smooth zoom in, zoom out effect. So the zoom in and zoom out will always be an abrupt cut like this. Of course, the less you zoom in, the less noticeable will the cut be. Notice also the black borders on the sides here. When you zoom in on your videos, make sure that you align those borders properly. I cut off too much from the left and the right of my video, so if I decrease this amount that I cut off, you can see how the borders get smaller. Now the video is zoomed in without borders, or at least almost without borders. You could play around with those numbers here so that there are no borders. Notice also, the less you zoom in altogether, the less noticeable will the cut be. If I play it back now with a less amount of zoom, as you notice now, there was not such a harsh noticeable transition between the zoomed in and zoomed out part of the video. It's more subtle. Alright guys, so this is how you can zoom in your video. Notice also that if you want to zoom in on a specific object in your video, you want to zoom in more, like this. You can also apply the size and position filter to make it smaller. Now that the video here is smaller, you can have a picture-in-picture or video-in-video effect with a big video, the main video, here is a big large image and a small video overlaying it. Notice also here you have zoomed in into the video, so you lost video quality, or in other words, you reduced the pixel amount. But because the video just covers a small position, there's actually less or maybe no quality loss at all, depending on the size of your video. Alright guys, this was it for this video. Hope the video was informative and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to show you how to blur only a part of your video. It is easy to apply a blur to the whole video. We just have to select our clip down here in the timeline, go to the Filters tab, hit the plus button, go to Blur, and then we can adjust the sliders and make the picture blurred. But in most cases, we want to only blur a face, for instance, and keep the rest of the video sharp and clear. Now, as the raven here has of course a right to privacy, I'm going to blur his face. It is very difficult to do that with a lot of steps, but I'm going to walk you through them. So first of all, we want to create a second track. We will select the track down here, right click and click on Add a Video Track. Now the video track, the new one, has to be above the track below. Next we want to make sure that the playhead is at the beginning of the clip that we want to add the effect to. In this case it's not just at the beginning of the clip but also at the beginning of the whole project or the whole video. So I will just select the track down here, copy it, right click on copy, and then I will select the upper track and click on paste. Now what it just did is it created a second exact replica of the first video clip, of the original one. The first thing I want to do is, so that I don't hear the audio a second time or that it doesn't play a second time in the background, I want to select the upper clip here, add another filter, that will be the mute filter. That way the second track up here will be muted. Once we got that, we want to select which area of the video should be blurred in the end. I want to blur the face of the raven, so I will crop in, I will apply another filter to this video clip here, a crop filter, and now I will crop out the part of the video that should be blurred. Now when I crop in here, you notice it doesn't properly show me, or doesn't exactly show me where the border is that I cropped. So I will hide the original video, and now I can see it much better with this black bars here. So I will crop in and select only the face of the raven here. Now while you crop out the face or number plate or whatever you want to hide, make sure to take into account that the object or the bird or the person, the face, might be moving in the video. You should always leave a bit more space around the object if it is moving, so that it's always blurred in the duration, at the time duration that you want to blur it. So if I play this back now, I can see if the bird's face is always in the selection. In this case, as you can see, it moves up. In this area now, the face would be clear, it wouldn't be blurred anymore. So what I got to do is I got to adjust it, and I need to crop in less from the top. Once I adjusted it again, I can play it back again. As you can see, the face remains in the blurred area. Okay, moved out a bit, so I will crop in less from the top, and now I should be good to go. Now, if your object or the face moves around a lot in the video, in this case you will need to either hide a lot of your original video, which you probably don't want to hide, or you just cut your clip at a position where the object starts to move off very far, and then you just apply the crop filter in a different way in the next clip. Anyways, the face of the raven here doesn't move a lot, so I don't need to take such a big selection. So once I got the selection that I want to blur in the video, I need to apply another filter. And that will be the size and position filter. Now what that does is, if I unapply this, it takes this enlarged cropped selection of the video and gives it back its right proportions. If I unhide the original video, you can see that the birds' faces are the same size. If I hide this back again. Now what I will need to do is I will need to align this bracket here in the size and position filter so that it's aligned with the cut selection here. In order to hide this bracket here, I just select another filter over here, then I don't have this bracket anymore. And to adjust the bracket, I'll need to select the size and position filter again. So once I aligned the brackets here, I will unhide the video again, the original video, and then I will go to the center of this cropped selection here and drag it over to align it with the original video. I will select another part of the video. Now, as you can see, once I take this cropped selection here and drag it over the original one, it will hide the original one. In order to adjust and align it better, I will apply another filter to it, and that will be the opacity filter. And I will adjust the slider to, let's say, about 60, go back to the size and position filter in order to adjust it and drag it around. And now I can see where the original raven's head is. Now that it's aligned with the original footage, I can unapply the opacity filter again. And at this point now, the blur effect finally comes in. Now I can apply the blur effect again. And now, as you can see, the bird's face is blurred. We can also do it the other way around, of course. If we want to blur everything else and just keep the bird's head sharp and clear, we can also do that by not applying the blur filter to the video clip on top, but to the clip on the bottom. Now, as you can see that I applied the blur filter to the bottom clip, everything else is blurred and only the raven's head sharp and clear. Now, as you notice, when I apply the blur effect here, there are some dark grayish parts appearing in the window, in this cropped selected area. You won't be able to get rid of them. You can adjust it only from the width or the height, depending on what you want, and then the bars will be only on the sides or only on the top and bottom. Note that when you need to adjust the blurred selection here later on, you will need to adjust both the crop part and the size and position part, because if I take this here and crop it more in, you can see that the face actually got smaller. So now I will need to go to the position effect, and I will need to drag this to make it bigger again, like this. But once you adjusted both filters, you're good to go again. In order to get rid of these bars here, you can select another filter again and then play it back. Now the bird's identity is being kept, everyone is happy, and we can export the video. And so that's it for this video. Hope the video was informative, and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to show you some hidden effects that you can apply to your videos. I call them hidden because at least I would not expect them to be under File and then Open Other. But when we click on Open Other, this opens a new window in Shotcut. Now those first settings up here, I'm going to cover them in another video. But what I'm going to be concerned with today is the generators. Now let's start with the count generator. Here we could save and select some presets, as always in Shotcut. And we have some settings down here. Now, as this is a count effect, for direction I can select that it's a countdown or that it's counting up. I'm going to select that it's a countdown. We have different styles here: seconds, seconds plus 1, frames, time code and clock. Now for sounds, if we hover over the sound text here, it explains us what those settings mean. Now we can select silent, that's no sound. We can select 2 pop and frame 0. Then we have the background. Either we have a clock as a background or we have no background at all. And once again, once we hover over the background text, we can see that when we select none, then there's no background, and when we select clock, there's a film style clock animation. We can select to drop frames, if necessary, to keep the time with the wall clock time. And then we can type in the duration that we want. Then we can click OK and it's going to generate the count with those settings. As you can see, this is what happens. This is a neat countdown animation here. If I go back here, open Other, I can change the duration and I can also change the sound. Let's go to 2 pop. Click OK. Then it's not going to make any sound until second 2, I believe. Okay, so well, this was the count. Let's go to the audio tone. This is going to create a tone that is constantly at a specific frequency. We can change the audio level, and I'm going to make it a bit quieter because this can turn out pretty loud. And we can change the frequency. I'm going to leave it at 1000 Hertz. I'm going to hit OK and it's going to generate this tone, as you can hear. If it generates something, except for the countdown where we can change the duration, it's going to be always 10 minutes long. Once we generated it, we can alter the duration and make it not as long. And then we can take it, click on it, and drag it down into the timeline. That way we can import all those generators or effects into the timeline, and then we can hear it when we play it back. Let's generate the next effect. Open Other again, and color bars is the next one. We can select between a few different types. I'm going to select a few and show you how it's going to look like. As you can see here, with those bars, you could simulate some kind of signal disturbance or signal loss on the TV. And then again, when we cut it to the time that we want, we can drag it down on the timeline. Of course, on the timeline, we can also split it and delete it to adjust the duration. So let's try out different styles here. Open Other, go to color bars and take this one or another one. But I guess you get the idea already. It's just some, let's take this 95% BBC PAL color bars. Whatever that should tell us, it's going to look like this. Let's go to the next generator though, which is plasma. Here we could change 4 different speeds and 2 types of movements. I'm not going to alter those settings, I'm just going to hit OK and see what this generates. Okay, this generates some kind of hypnosis plasma effect. Let's go to the next generator though, Lissajous. There's something called Lissajous curves. If you're familiar with that, those settings might tell you something. They don't tell me anything though. I'm just going to change the settings a bit and then hit OK, and that's what you're going to get out of it. If you want that for some reason, Here you got it. Let's go to the next effect, which is easing, or however you pronounce that. Let's just change the settings here a bit. Hit OK. This is how it's going to look like. Now when I take this here, just the size, the duration, and then drag it down here onto the timeline, there's some kind of error. Alright? It's kind of 2 frames, one frame looking like this, the next one looking like this, and then it's always kind of the same thing. Obviously there's some kind of error in that generation here, but let's go to the next generator here, which is a noise generator. Here we don't have any settings, it's just creating noise. And then I hit OK. As you can see, first of all, there's noise in the video, but also noise in the audio, which is pretty loud. Problem is that you cannot take this and drag it down into the timeline. It's live, as you can see here. I cannot drag it in. I don't know what this is good for, but here you go, there's a noise generator. You can record it maybe and then do something with that. Let's go to the next one. Color. Here we can create some kind of background color. We can select some type of color here, hit OK, and this is what it's going to look like. This is the background color. And now of course we can add some text if we like, we can add some video sequences, like a kind of like a collage or something with that type of background. We can take this also and drag it down into the timeline, as you can see. And those were the hidden effects or generators that you have in Shotcut, with some of them being more useful than others. Alright, so those were 8 hidden effects that you can have in Shotcut. And that's it with the video. Hope the video was informative, and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to show you how to prevent instability in Shotcut. Now first of all, I recommend you install the version 16.10.01. Even though it's not the newest version, it's, at least for me on my computer, the most stable one. Now sometimes this solution might not be the perfect solution for you because there are some new features in the newer version of Shotcut that you want to use. But there are other settings that you can change, and those could cause instability. For instance, GPU processing, experimental. So if you have a powerful graphics card in your computer, you want to activate this, because then the rendering or exporting of your video is going to be faster. However, this is experimental, as it says in brackets here, and it could cause Shotcut to break down more often. So if you have instability issues and this is activated, then disable this option here. The next thing you want to consider is the display method. I have this on automatic, but you can select OpenGL or DirectX. Now DirectX is going to make your CPU process the image or display the video, and OpenGL is going to make the graphics card, in this case an AMD graphics card, show the video. If you had an NVIDIA graphics card, this would say CUDA. If you have DirectX selected and it's unstable, then maybe select OpenGL or CUDA if you have an NVIDIA card, and that may cause the program to be more stable. To select DirectX as a display method is often recommended to troubleshoot instability. And these are the 3 methods that you could use in order to improve stability in Shotcut. This was it for this video though. Hope the video was informative and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut tutorial video. Today I'm going to talk about how to monitor your audio. When we go up here to View and then down to Scopes, we have 4 different audio monitors that we can activate independently. When we activate them, they will appear to the right of your video playback screen. I did activate the audio loudness, the audio peak meter, the audio spectrum, and the audio waveform. Now let's start with the audio waveform. I'm going to play back a video that I published earlier, and let's look at the audio waveform monitor here. As you can see, it shows us different waves. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another shot. As it's getting louder, as I'm speaking louder, those waves go further up and down. So the further those waves go up and down, the louder the audio is at that point. And the shorter those waves are, the higher the frequency. The longer those waves are, the lower the frequency. This is pretty straightforward, and this is how you can monitor your audio. I'm going to play it a bit more back here. And those waveforms change, of course, while it's playing back. Now the next audio monitor is the audio spectrum. Now this shows us a certain range of frequencies that is 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz, and this is what the human ear can perceive. And then it's showing us how loud those frequencies are. And as you can see, there is some kind of peak here in the center of this graph. This is because my voice has those frequencies, or is within this frequency range from 30 or 50 Hz to about 2000 or 1000 Hz, because here it's pretty down. So this is the frequency spectrum that I speak at. If you have a higher voice, then this peak here would be further over here in the higher frequency range. And if you have a low voice, a very deep voice, then it would be going more over there. And this is of course not only true for voices, but for all kinds of audio. If you have very high bass in your music, for instance, then here the loudness would be higher. And this is how the audio spectrum works. If you want to know how to export your video, check out my first part of exporting to YouTube video. And as you can see, it always shows us how high or how loud the audio was at that frequencies at the time of playback. So if I change one frame before that, you can see also those bars down here. Then we have the audio peak meter. This shows us the loudness of the audio, of the whole audio, not just of the individual frequencies, but the loudness of the whole audio. That way we could, for instance, monitor if our audio gets too high up. If it's going past 0, then there is distortion in our audio. And as I play this back, you can see how it's going up and down. What does interpolation do? We have 4 different types here in Shotcut. Alright, so let's go to the next audio monitor here, that is the audio loudness monitor. Now here you have several bars. And when we go down here and click on this list icon, then we can activate and deactivate those bars individually. The M stands for the momentary loudness, the S for the short-term loudness, and so on. The LRA for loudness range. Now those last 2 bars here, the peak and the true peak, they always show the same loudness. I don't know why they are there, but they always show the same loudness. And basically they monitor how loud the audio is in that moment, like the audio peak meter. If I play this back, you can see this go up and down depending on how loud I speak. Upscaling videos. So let's take a scenario where we have... Now the next one, the loudness range, shows us how much the audio levels vary in our recording, in our audio. So if we have very quiet parts and then for some time very loud parts, then this value would increase. We can see that especially if we go back to the end of this video where the outro kicks in. The outro is fading in. So the audio level is fading in and it's very quiet at that point. If I play this back now, you can see how this value rises. And see you next time. There it's rising already. Do you see this? This is especially useful if you want to keep your audio levels over various different clips that you imported into Shotcut on the same level. If they are not in the same level and the loudness range is very high, that means that the people that watch your videos will need to have to change the playback volume of the loudspeakers or headphones all the time during your video. And that would be annoying. People don't want to do that. So the audio level, the loudness range, should be very small. Then let's look at the short-term loudness. When I play this back here, you can see that the peak meters go up very quickly, in real time basically, while the short-term loudness follows this movement with some kind of delay. This is because the short-term loudness takes the average loudness of a short period of time and shows this. And the 1080p video quality, so as you can see, on our back camera on the phone. Because that's if I make a break, then the audio level goes more down, and when I start speaking again, then it goes up. One 1080p video resolution and one 720p video resolution. Now when we take those two different video resolutions and we just export them... Now I don't know what the momentary loudness meter here and the integrated loudness meter show. I don't know that. I couldn't find it out. So if you know that, then let us know down in the comments, but I cannot tell you for sure what they do. Also some different information here. The audio peak meters here, they don't show the same value as the audio peak meter down here. This is because obviously those peak meters here have a small delay. They lag a bit behind the audio peak meter. I don't think that this is intended. I believe they will fix it soon, but if you look at the audio peak meter, then better look at this audio peak meter monitor here and not at the audio loudness monitors. Alright, but this was it for this video. Hope the video was informative and see you next time. Hey guys, Mr. Echo here with another Shotcut video. Today it's a different one though, because I'm going to just give you guys some information here about my videos. I covered a lot of what Shotcut offers in terms of functions, effects and editing workflow. Now, one can use those functions for lots of different applications, like showing several videos at once with picture-in-picture effects, playing around with audio and much more. So if you guys struggle with anything specific that you would like to do in Shotcut, it can be as individual and creative as it can get. Let me know down in the comments and I will see what I can do to help you out. Either by helping you in the comments or making tutorial videos about it. Also, if there are new functions in Shotcut or effects that I didn't cover yet, let me know and I will try to cover them. That said, it doesn't mean that I will not continue to do Shotcut tutorials on my own. As long as there are no comments though that require further explanation in videos, Shotcut is not my top priority, at least not in a moment. So if you guys have any requests, write them in the comments. Have a nice one.